Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay. And remember, we only judge a book by its cover. And today's book is by Anne McCaffrey. It's called Serve It Forth.
Ah, yes, today's book is sublime, because today is dear readers at home, we all know that this is a very special time of year for a lot of people. I don't know when exactly people are going to be listening to this, but we're airing it a few days after our favourite holiday, Tombolcock's Eve.
Yes.
Celebrated on the 23rd of December in Mousehole in Cornwall. Hello, Cornwall.
And nowhere else.
Exactly. Celebrating a legendary figure that went out to fish. First recorded, I think, in 1927.
Did the story say if there anything happened when he went out fishing on the 23rd of December?
I mean, it was a bad storm.
Yes, but did he return victorious?
He returned with fish.
It's good when they were out fishing.
Yeah, they were hungry, and so then they had,
and that's why they celebrated, because he went out in the storm and got food for everybody. That sounds amazing. Yeah,
right.
Good for him.
So, in the spirit of Tombolcock's Eve. Now, just to catch the readers at home up on the unnecessary, well, it's not exactly lore that's sprung up at the moment. Like, we're on a bit of an adventure. I have built a tricycle with a back seat, so I've been tricycling us around your wondrous library, so I can finally discover a little bit more. I hope the ride's been a bit comfortable. I made sure you had
a little bit bumpy, especially when you went over the speed bumps. But yeah,
I don't get why there's speed bumps in a library.
Some building code. They're very small wheels for a tricycle.
Look, the wheels are great.
I didn't say they were bad.
So, in the spirit of Tombolcock's Eve,
yes,
I have taken the liberty of foraging for some food for a little feast for us.
Oh, good. That sounds amazing.
And my idea was that
Fish.
Spoilers.
Okay, sorry.
My idea was that I would present some of the dishes that I am able to prepare for us to enjoy.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Alongside this story that we're going to read.
Which is going to involve a lot of food.
Yes. Serve It Forth, Cooking with Anne McCaffrey. She's a very famous writer in the speculative fiction genres. I believe Dragon Riders of Pern.
Yes, that's her most famous series.
Far from her only one.
Oh, no,
she has a formidable legacy.
She wrote a lot more than that.
She was a grandmaster of, what was it?
Flower arrangement.
Really?
Yes, she studied with the aesthetic monks.
What are you talking about now?
Never mind.
Great joke.
Yes,
love
thank
it.
You.
So, if you look down at your podcasting device, you should be seeing the cover of today's book, and otherwise you can check the show notes for an image and a link. Check our Twitter, we Cover My Asscast, or you can visit covermyasscast.com and find episode 52, where we discuss Serve It Forth, Cooking with Anne McCaffrey.
So, on the cover, we have the Grand Mistress herself standing in front of a scrumptious spread of food. I mean, there is a classic turkey, and we have lots of little dragons and bigger dragons.
Yes, I thought
all
it
over
was
the place.
Yeah, she's having a little dragon party, and she's got a little one on her shoulder, just a little ickle little dragon.
Yeah, and there's the blue and the green one attacking I think it's a penna with meatballs.
And she looks so delighted as she's presenting this spread to her dragon friends. And so, coming into the book, I thought it was going to be just this lovely sort of pastoral, sumptuous romp through just the pleasures of life, and a kind of a low stakes story.
Yes,
I was reminded.
Well, there were stakes, but
yes, and delicious ones.
So what's that green thing that the bronze dragon on the right is eating?
Brussels sprouts.
There's a very big Brussels sprout.
No, it's multiple Brussels sprouts.
Oh, I suppose there is, yeah. I mean,
that's my hypothesis looking at it. That's how I would eat a bunch of Brussels sprouts.
If you were a dragon. I mean, I usually shred them and then toss them up with a little bit of bacon bits and toasted almonds. Lovely. A little bit of cilantro on there.
Oh, wow.
And funnily enough, a splash of maple syrup to round it all off. The sweetness of the maple syrup really complements the bitterness of the Brussels sprouts.
See, I like it with a bit of butter. Just whole, boiled, tradition.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And just a bit of butter.
Sure.
Or bacon grease. That can work sometimes. I never enjoyed them as a child. And I used to attribute that Brussels sprouts. My mother might one day listen to this podcast, and I don't want her to think that I criticize her cooking. But I also discovered the Brussels sprouts of our childhood, and we're of a certain age, have been that is almost an entirely different taste experience.
Yeah, they've been totally toned down in their bitterness and their less pleasing flavors. I once got the opportunity to study them from a close distance when a field that I picked to land my parachute in turned out not to be the grass field which I thought it was when I was at 1,000 feet and I had to pick a landing location. It turned out to be be a Brussels sprout field, which made for a very interesting landing.
Skydiver problems. How did you make out?
That was fine. I mean, I did go head over tits.
Any landing you can walk away from.
Exactly. So, the dimension-hopping gigglewitch, Anne McCaffrey, teleports into a sleepy town in medieval France to delight the townsfolk's upper crust with a sumptuous dinner spread. But when one of the guests is murdered, Miss McCaffrey must use all her magical cooking skills to uncover the truth and find the proof in the pudding.
Wow, that is not what you expect when you see this cover.
Mainly because I wouldn't expect the upper crust of a French medieval town to look like dragons, but we'll get to that point in later.
Yes, exactly. There's a sleepy medieval town, and it's the town of Polson Esprit. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a town that has an interesting pedigree. It is famous for the 1951 mass poisoning of Polson Esprit.
That's after this book takes place.
Where, according to various sources, either they had ergot poisoning, which I think is a type of fungus that
yes, it grows on rye. It's usually a black substance. I think it actually contains LSD.
Yes, that is the other hypothesis, that they were just massively dosed by the CIA.
I think the ergot actually produces a substance which is like...
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Should we be mentioning that on our internet radio program?
Don't see why this would be a problem.
Yeah,
it's not like people have access to rye fields where they can then go and harvest the black moldy grains and then like eat them to get poisoned by.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what they say about absinthe. Like the wormwood supposedly like has a psychedelic effect, but you'll die of alcohol poisoning long before you get up to any relevant doses of wormwood.
The green fairy. In French, la fée verte. Vert or verte? Do you say the T?
I think it's French. You don't pronounce half the letters anyway.
Come on. I mean, that's only a recent thing. Like,
take the French word for bird.
It's
oiseau. It's spelled O-I-S-E-A-U, and none of the letters are pronounced the way they're spelled. Right.
My French is decades old at this point. I mean, since secondary school, where...
Well, at least you go to Paris every once in a while.
I have had the privilege of going to Paris a few times, which I've really enjoyed, and I've got family in the Champagne region, Champagne, as they say for some reason.
I've had the pleasure of going to France several times, mainly for skiing,
and we have an interesting variety of mutual friends down there.
We do have an interesting variety.
Bonjour, nos amis.
Yeah, bonbon, hon, Napoleon.
Okay, so into this sleepy town of
Polson Esprit.
Polson Esprit.
Sorry, Pont.
Pont is bridge, point is point, saint is saint, and esprit is the spirit.
Yes, so the point of the spirit.
Yeah, I guess Saint Spirit Point. And it's in the year of our Lord, 1484, which in French is... Oh, try and render that in French. 1484 in French.
Yeah, hang on. That would be 1484.
That's right. Yes. It's 1424. In 1484, the town square of Point Saint-Esprit splits open with a great big portal and a great big storm, and from it descends the dimension-hopping gigglewitch, whatever the fuck that means.
It's not the same as a cackle witch.
But you sort of imagine like a Mary Poppinsian figure descending from a crack in the heavens.
Just holding a big roasting skillet.
She repels down a lightning bolt with a ladle. I'm kind of impressed with her because she arrives with no preamble. She has nothing with her except her cooking supplies, but wherever she lands, apparently she's immediately treated with reverence just by the sheer charisma that she's able to wield.
Yes, basically invited into the mayor's house,
where she introduces herself to the... What is the French word for mayor?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's mayor.
Really?
I don't know. It's French. Half the words in English were borrowed from French.
Fair enough.
Borrowed, I say. It's like more like mugged in an alleyway. Le maire. Yeah. Mayor or provost. M-A-I-R-E.
So she introduces herself to le maire of Point Saint-Esprit. Yes. And having no pedigree, and certainly on a difficult day like this in a town that has its own troubles, he's not immediately inclined to open his doors to a stranger. So she realized she has to impress him with some of her magically endowed cooking.
Yes. She goes and takes over the local bakery and has a little talk with the baker and talks him into allowing him to use his supplies and his ovens.
Yes.
And he comes up with the tarte transformation, which explains the dragons.
Yes, because obviously he has it tried by one of his tasters first, who immediately transforms into rather a handsome duck person.
Yes.
It becomes sort of clumsy, but after a second taste, then becomes a frog person, which some would say is more appropriate for French. But so the tarte de transformation, the little transformation cakes, people could kind of have fun with, just based on the shape in which it was presented, to kind of figure out like what they were going to be transformed into.
It was like a bit of a party game. Yeah.
Exactly. And seeing how well this worked, immediately, of course, the mayor of, what do we say?
Polson Esprit.
That's one. He wanted this woman in his kitchen to deliver his, whatever the French equivalent of Tom Balcock's Eve's meal.
He immediately threw a party for, I wouldn't say the bourgeois, but the local, whatever they're called.
Yeah, he specifically invited some of the high-status locals, the senior clergyman, Frère Jacques, Brother Jack.
Yes, the local interior decorator, à l'intérieur.
What a narrow joke, yes. What a great interior decorator. À l'intérieur. There's a bit of a pun there for those of us who speak French. So, speaking of puns, I mean, we'd sort of known him in English as Peter Piper, but in French it's Péteur Piper.
It sounds...
I recognized it. It's related to two French verbs, and one of them means farting, and the other one means blowjobbing.
Oh, okay. It's a bit of like a then.
I'm editing the fuck out of that. Yeah, there's no way that's going to stay in.
A local famous writer, Anagram.
Yes. She's a celebrated author. Yes. I'm sure that Anne McCaffrey had a lot in common with her.
I think there was a little bit of. She's obviously
the self-insert.
Yes.
And the fifth guest was. She was a woman of no particular note. Mm-hmm. So I think she was the maire's maîtresse, the mistress, Mimi Gazeuse. She was a frothy, a bubbly young woman. Of certain qualities.
Mimi should be frothy and bubbly. And
the sixth guest.
Yes, a musician in the towns, Agathe the Blues.
Named after the gem, agate, I believe, the semi-precious gem, and
the blouse.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that. That seems fine. And it is on. Tom Balcock's Eve is something that they're probably not very, very familiar with.
Since that didn't occur until 1929, wasn't it?
That's apparently when the first recorded instance of it.
It might have been around in 1484.
Oh, very good, very good. Your French is excellent, by the way.
Thank you. I fake it 1 week a year when I'm skiing.
That's how I... Now, yes, we mentioned the tarte de transformation. I completely missed my opportunity to present you with the first of the dishes that we will be enjoying. Mm-hmm. Now, before you get too excited,
yes,
we are in a library. Mm-hmm. There is not a lot of new wildlife.
No.
So I've had to make do. So what we have here is the sort of paper pulp that we use to make hardcovers out of paperback books. It's something that I snuck away from the book repair studio.
Like you've been snucking away a lot.
But this is for a good cause.
Is this a pastry show?
It really isn't. You shouldn't eat these. You shouldn't eat these. I'm just like, these are the suggestion of little pastry.
So you kind of like slurp the contents out like you're having an oyster or something, and just like imagine you're having a pastry.
Oh, you can try that.
Yes.
I don't think any of these glues are toxic. Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
And mostly just use your sort of imagination, because it's supposed to imagine that you were having a macaron that you could eat.
Very well. I shall hold this in my hand and imagine that I'm eating a macaron.
I think that's the safest.
It's delicious.
Oh, thank you. I'm so delighted to be able to share this with you on Tom Balcock's Eve. So Miss McCaffrey vanishes into the kitchen, creating an air of mystery, as most good cooks like to do.
Also, you don't always want to know what goes into the dishes, It's like,
you don't want to know how the sausage is made.
Yes, that's the one.
Les saucisses. That's a little French word.
There's a French sausage, which is actually a sausage stuffed with intestine.
Wait, but the outside is intestine.
And the inside is intestine as well.
So it's all just intestine all the way,
like herbs and spices, but it's
see there. That's the problem solved. This is why people. I'm a little bit squeamish about eating invertebrates, but I know that as a child I really enjoyed escargot, the French snails, which you'd think are gross, but they're like super washed, and they were fed at diets of cleansing herbs, and then they were cooked with a bunch of butter and garlic.
Yeah, that's basically their carriers for whatever else.
They're a butter and garlic delivery platform. And that makes them delicious. So, like, whatever you do, like, as long as you spice them correctly.
Yeah, it looks like a sausage, and then you cut it, and you can see all the little wrinkles and layers of the...
So it's like a cigar. It's like an edibles...
Except slightly lower resolution.
So the first thing that she brings onto the table, after all these guests, and let's just remind ourselves, there's Agathe Zebleuse, the musician. Mm-hmm. There's the à l'intérieur, the interior designer. There's Anagram, the writer. Mimi Gazeuse, the mistress. Peter Piper, kind of a mysterious, like local rake.
Can we say might on the show?
Let's find out. And Frère Jacques, the honoured guests priest, of the mayor, are treated to, I mean, what we know as our favourite dish from Tom Babcock's Eve, Stargazing Pie. Now, this is something that I can treat you to. I have made for us a Stargazing Pie as it is served on Tom Babcock's Eve in Mousehole in Cornwall, England. And here it is. It is a pie made with potato and egg and whole fish. And as you can see, the fish are facing outward. The heads are still intact and gazing at the stars. So I would say dig in.
Oh, lovely. Where did you find the fish?
So you said there weren't any salmon in the water cooler?
Yes.
I found where the salmon are.
Oh, where are they?
It's a sort of like waterfall-y kind of thing. Like there's a little pond. I'm not entirely sure where the salmon come from, but they come up from this little water hole, and then they jump up the sort of waterfall-y thing, and then they go. I mean, I couldn't reach that high, so I don't know exactly where they go.
Okay,
but I found at least a transit point for the salmon. So I know that's the wrong fish.
Is that the southern atrium?
Well, it was an atrium. I mean, there was sunlight coming down.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that's like the ledge of B deck or if it was even higher.
Maybe you can show me some other day when we can have a look around.
Certainly, once we get back on the 303 and tricycle around.
This looks absolutely fantastic. Smells really nice.
It's a peculiar...
Big fan of potatoes.
An egg and fish. And they are sort of looking all over the place because the eyes are still in there. That's why it's called Stargazing Pie.
I mean, I did once ask my table mate to turn his plate around because his lobster was looking at me.
This pie has everyone utterly captivated because Anne McCaffrey is a magical cook. So when she makes a Stargazing Pie,
you can see the constellations reflected in the eyes of the
fish. It's full of stars.
Yes.
And an indeterminate amount of time passes, and then the guests sort of blink awake and look around, and they find that the mayor isn't moving anymore.
Yes.
Sitting at the head of the table is a dead mayor. And appropriately, lightning flashes outside and
thunder strikes.
All the usual, and it becomes a murder mystery. One of those cozy murder mysteries
when everybody needs to figure out who done it.
It must have been someone in this very room.
So the mayor's dead, and now it needs to be investigated.
Anne McCaffrey, like so many of my aunts, when they find themselves in a weird situation, immediately express an opinion, define a plan, take control.
Yes, start cooking the next dish.
Exactly. So she sort of seizes the authority. No one leaves here until we find out who did it, who done it.
Yes.
Naturally. And I will detect and reveal the culprit through...
Desserts.
Yes, exactly. Tuck into your Stargazing Pie, by the way.
Thank you.
The fish heads and the eyes.
I'm just going to leave the heads. I mean,
Really?
Then we throw those in the soup pot and then we have fish soup tomorrow.
Oh, that's a nice way to do it. Why waste good protein? There's good flavour in them.
There's not going to be much protein in eyes.
Eyes?
Is there?
Oh my goodness. Eyes are some of the most nutritious parts of a body of an animal that you can eat. I mean, just consider how much of your body's resources are devoted to your eyes. Like your whole skull is designed to protect your eyes. It is one of the fastest regenerating tissues. It's just swimming in construction material and nutrients.
Isn't that in one of the James Bond movies? I think
it's
in Octopussy when he's I think it's in India and he's being in a palace and he gets like served a sheep's head. His host kind of like reaches over and he plucks out the eye of the sheep's head and he eats it right in front of him.
I do remember, obviously, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Eyeball soup.
Eyeball soup, yes. Wow, that movie is like super insensitive. It does not hold up. And also, I object to that movie on the principle that our heroes don't advance the plot. Our heroes don't discover the evil thuggy until... No, they only discover it because an assassin is sent into their rooms. Like, if no move had been made to attack our heroes...
they wouldn't have known. Nobody would have noticed. Yeah.
They absolutely... They didn't follow any clues. They didn't discover anything. They get attacked clumsily. So,
Okay, so food happens.
Yes, which is the... I mean, to say food happens kind of undersells the value of food in this book. Because it is through the various dishes that she presents. She's also examining the various ways in which the mayor could have been killed. Firstly, of course, by the poisoning of the herring brine. Now, as a Dutch person, I recognize that because brined herring is kind of a delicacy over here. Well, a delicacy is even a hard thing to say. It's street food.
I do love myself a good new herring.
Depends on the year. So,
yes, but
for our readers at home, a common Dutch street food is brined herring. It is uncooked. It may be up to over a year old, because sometimes, the herring season is not so good, and then last year's herring is better. And if someone still happens to have a couple of tubs of brined herrings that they can then serve raw on a... How do you prefer them? How do you,
if they're
whole and tail on?
If they're actually new, I don't care for traditional. I can do dangling it by the tail and then bite it off, or I have it
because the head's off.
I'll have them cut it up.
That's Amsterdam style.
Is it? Yeah. It's all about the taste. So if it's actually new herring and it's nice and fresh, then I will have it plain. If it's the one that's been sitting around in a vat of brine for a year, then I will have it with raw onions and pickles. It depends.
I'm a slut for the little diced onions.
Well, yes, me too. I love that as well. But if it's if it is actually a really good year and the herring is actually new and fresh, then I will take it absolutely straight up raw. If a little bit further into the season, then definitely go with the onions and the pickles.
So I was very impressed with Anne McCaffrey when she immediately eliminated the idea of a herring brine. Oh, and by the way, I've got a cup of. I probably maybe don't drink it. Yeah. I treated some of the glue from the book repair studio, and I think I made it non-toxic, and I salted it a little bit. You can take a little sip, and it sort of tastes like fish juice, sort of herring brine. Well, okay, so I said just a little sip.
Yeah. Okay,
and that should be
flavorful.
Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. There's a whole tankard full. If you'd like some more,
no, let's save that for an occasion.
That's a great idea. But yeah, she just quaffs down a whole pint of herring brine to show that the herring's fine, and so they all tuck into the herring and wash it down with their tankards of salmiakki. The
Finnish licorice flavored booze, isn't it?
Yeah, normally served in very, very small quantities and very, very cold because it's super black and salt. I mean, it's essentially next sort of palate cleanser, the amuse-bouche. I sort of related to that. This is a bit of a long story, which is weird for an episode that's already running this long. But let's just see how it's going. The long story short is I hung out with the mayor of Nagasaki and a bunch of other people from Nagasaki. Yeah. Okay, that's the long story short. I was having dinner with them, and they were in the Netherlands because Nagasaki is the sister city of a Dutch city called Amstelveen, which is not where I'm from, but I was there. So all of this sort of came together, and our counterparts from Nagasaki presented us with real Japanese candy because they had excellent English, and we from the Dutch delegation of young people had not been informed that this would be a thing. So we said, yes, we also got candy for you. And then very quickly, two of us distracted the three of them, and one of us, me, quickly ran downstairs and looked for the nearest vending machine. And what the fuck is Dutch here? I know, super duper salt licorice. Oh. And they said, thank you. We will keep this and share it with our family.
Yes.
Gotcha. Super diplomatic.
Yeah, I mean, Japanese are all about that kind of thing. There's
and then I gave some to the mayor of Nagasaki, and this is a formidable man. So he immediately took it and he sniffed it and he looked at me. And then he ate it anyway. Yeah. And never have I seen a man so completely hide his disgust until I offered him a second piece. And then it was, no, thank you. No, thank you.
I'm on a diet,
because it is a particular flavor.
I think it's acquired taste. Although it's very territorial. There seems to be a line which runs somewhere east-west through the southern part of the Netherlands, or maybe Belgium.
Right, yeah. It's north of the Rhine. North of that, then you like salt licorice. And I think this goes for Germany as well.
The Rhine runs north-south in most of Germany.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it kind of does.
I'm learning so much more than I'm learning from the literal atlases that I'm serving these dishes on. Yes, I actually brought some salt licorice for you.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, now this this you can totally. I mean, it is the salt licorice pieces that were in my pocket when I first made my way into your library.
I thought that was sugar, but that's lint.
It's
okay,
lint.
That's fine.
It's lint and probably about a year's worth of age.
It's maybe a little bit hard and dry, but it'll still be salty and sugary and licoricey.
Exactly, exactly. So as everyone is quaffing salmiakki from their tankards and noticing that much like the salmiakki itself, it's turning their skin black, which they seem to rather enjoy. Like it's a rather cool sort of effect that they sort of become almost obsidian. She jumps on them with the next dish, huitlacoche, which is corn smut.
Corn smut?
Yes. Now, this is a Mexican dish, and I've tried to approximate it because it is a fungus that grows. It is essentially like bad corn, where you scrape the badness off and then you serve it as a delicacy.
Oh.
No, you just.
So we're back on the ergot.
I scraped some mold off some of the old discard pile of hardbacks that have been cut off.
Good.
And so, yes, here is a festering heap of fungus that. But please enjoy. There's only enough for one person, and as my beloved guest, I do insist that you enjoy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Isn't it?
Thank you.
I mean, it's a pungent flavor, right?
Very much.
It sort of smells like blue Stilton cheese.
Yes, it doesn't taste like it.
How would you describe it? Because I actually haven't indulged. I wanted to make sure that there was enough for my guests to enjoy.
How would they say it in French? The fromage de pied, I think, is a good way to.
Oh, okay. So yes, les pieds d'athlète, the feet of the athlete.
Yes.
And here she brings out her first piece of evidence. And there's another appropriate flash of lightning from outside. The bloody sallow spork.
Yes.
Sallow, of course, is the Ukrainian delicacy. Yes. That is essentially lard.
Yes, but spiced lard. Or what is it? Spiced.
Because Ukrainian food, it is so greasy and fatty and delicious, but very well controlled. And despite being so calorically rich, it is a credit to how fit and like outdoorsy our various Ukrainian friends are.
If you're like living a farmer's life, then...
Yeah, they eat this rich food, and then they do sports, and then they go out climbing mountains, and they are so fit and beautiful.
Well, yes.
Ukrainian people are so hot.
Cool.
But yes, sallow is such a lovely treat, and it's usually served either in chilled slices or paste that you can eat with bread, and it's served with like...
It sounds like something you would...
chopped garlic or...
Sage. For some reason, I'm thinking towards sage. That sounds probably very good.
This sallow spork, for some reason, that's what they eat sallow with there instead of like toothpicks to pick up the little slices.
Yeah, I mean, sporks are pretty good.
Although it's just like it is one section of a really complicated Venn diagram where you have what else do you have? You have the knork.
The knife.
Wait, hold on. Did you just say knife?
Yes.
Kay, did you just say knife? Like that was a thing?
Yes.
Do you know the Swedish word for knife? Kniv.
I think it's also the local Twente dialect, knief.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
From your neck of the woods in the Netherlands. You're. Oh yes, I have some sallow for you. It is made from bookworm livers.
Okay. But I was expecting worse.
But I've sampled some of this myself.
Fatty bookworms.
Yes, exactly.
Have they been force-fed Pulp Fiction?
Yes. You understand correctly. Yeah, because I mean,
it is fattening, but not really like
exactly. It's not hard to force feed a bookworm. Like you just provide them with books and off they go. Yeah. You just got to make sure that you've got a bullet catcher so that they don't escape.
They're pointed in the right direction. They go through the right shelf.
So, yeah. So it's been all Raymond Chandler and the novelization of various Quentin Tarantino films.
The book after the novelization of
I have some bad memories of novelizations of films based on books. So I didn't mind sacrificing those to give these bookworms
good on you.
A pleasant life before rendering them into this sallow, and I've got some crackers left over from my rations that we can just enjoy. No chopped garlic, alas, but I did find these other fungi and molds, and I did try to fry those up a little bit. So this actually might be palatable.
It smells very fragrant, and it's like I think it's the best one so far.
Hey,
yes,
that's a compliment.
Yes, exactly.
I think so. So Anne McCaffrey at this point brings out her next piece of evidence, another tool. So aside from the sallow spork, there is the moose nose jellier, the Canadian delicacy of jelly eat moose noses.
Yes.
They do require specific tools.
Well, I don't really understand why, but I mean, it's one of those things where it becomes tradition,
If you want to jelly a moose nose, you want a good moose nose jellier.
I mean, I'm with Alton Brown. I don't like unitaskers.
So how would you approach this? You need to jelly a moose nose. What do you do?
I think any kitchen Whizzy-Blendy type thing. You pulse it a few times in the kitchen machine and then add your jellying agent.
I don't know that the moose noses are at all affected by the jellying process. I think you just sort of wash and then gelatinize them.
Well, I mean, gelatinization is turning cartilage into gelatin, basically.
Oh, does the gelatin come from the moose noses itself?
I guess noses have lots of cartilage. Slow application of heat and cooking, and it turns the cartilage into gelatin. And that's the whole gelatinization process.
If any of our Canadian readers at home have enjoyed this particular tweet, please tell us about it. You can find us at covermyasscast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at covermyasscast on Twitter, but then people will know that you're from Canada and that you've eaten
jellied moose nose. Right. So, Miss McCaffrey, Mrs. I think she was married.
McCaffrey. Hey.
Mistress.
She's
McCaffrey.
She's a grandmaster.
Very good.
Mistress McCaffrey. That is correct.
She basically comes out and there's a little bit of accusations are thrown around, and she's about to accuse Peter Piper when the next dish is being served.
Ah, yes.
It's the tête de veau, except when the dish is revealed, it's not tête de veau, it's tête de invité, and the invité is Peter, whose head seems to have been boiled up, and is the second victim of tonight's murderer.
That was just astonishing. I mean, no one was more astonished than Peter Piper himself.
He was sitting there looking there with his shocked expression on his face, how did I end up in the stew?
Yes, exactly, because it tête de veau is of course calf's head.
Yeah, veal's head.
Yes, exactly, which is the boiled head of one of the guests. I mean, this is kind of a gruesome book.
Oh, yes. So it turns out that he can't have done it, because he still might have done the first one, but he certainly didn't do the second one.
No, or he really caught himself by surprise.
Yeah.
This evidence is quite compelling, and now there were 5.
Yeah.
We've still got Frère Jacques. Amazing how none of these characters have really played into the story so far. They're all sort of recipients of Mistress McCaffrey's. I do like that.
Yes.
Mrs. McCaffrey's excellent cooking. It is Mimi Gazeuse who at this point jumps up and says, "This is a farce. There is no conspiracy here. We are not being accused." And she grabs the Flammkuchen burner.
Ah, yes. I do love a good Flammkuchen.
Oh, yes. The German sort of flat.
It's got a German name, but it is French.
Is it French? Flammkuchen.
Yeah,
cookies, flame bread.
Yeah.
It's more like bread.
It's basically North European pizza. For the readers at home who aren't aware with Flammkuchen, it's basically a pizza dough spread with creme fraiche, on top of which you put caramelized onions and lardons.
Isn't pizza usually leftovers? Historically,
it probably was originally, but now,
that's why you have pizza napolitana. That's the diet of common families in Naples would have had this leftover on a Friday,
which I don't quite understand, because it requires a very hot oven to bake in, and ovens were not a common thing in the days,
Even in Italy?
Yeah, not everybody had an oven. I mean, their bakers had an oven, Ovens are they're big. They cost a lot to build because that requires a lot of stone. They require a lot of fuel to heat up to.
Yes, you've mentioned the sort of North African tradition of using the furnaces of the bathhouses as a communal oven where you put your amphora.
Yeah. It's houses didn't have ovens until I don't know when. When that started coming in, I assume that was 1800s or something.
I wonder if maybe it was a restaurant thing. I mean, you would have had restaurants there, I related so much more to the classical cultures of the Aztecs or the Incas or the Romans or the Greeks or the Egyptians once I realized they all had street food.
Ah, yeah.
It was
of course there was going to be someone selling food because there's always going to be people who are hungry. Yes.
Yeah. You walk half a day to the market, you're going to want some snacks while you're there.
Yeah.
And someone's going to cook up a hot meal so that you've got a full belly while you walk back with whatever it is that you went out to get.
And the thing is, if you don't sell it, you have food to feed your family. You either have money to buy food and other things with, or you have the food you didn't sell, which is now your family's dinner.
I would love to try some Roman street food. I mean, I've seen the jokes, of course,
garum.
from... Sorry?
Garum.
Garum?
Yes.
What did you just say?
Garum. It's their seasoning. It was a basically rotten fish sauce.
I mean, we eat sardines.
It's basically fish guts salted and left to ferment.
Okay, well, there's probably safe. Okay,
I'm kind of imagining Worcester sauce. Really, it's probably good, which I love. It's just great.
We're down to a small number. I mean, we're having
an extra long Tom Balcock's Eve episode. I think.
Taking a very long time to get to the point, but that's okay. That's okay. Like cookbooks are allowed to take their time to get to the point, totally. And serve it forth by Mistress Anne McCaffrey is no different.
Fine example.
At this point, she has 4 suspects. Mm-hmm. À l'intérieur, the interior decorator who...
You might be in on it.
Yeah. We've got Agathe the Blues, the musician. Sure. Now, I never suspect an artist.
Unless they have a bone to pick with you, then...
Anagram, I mean, she must have been a self-insert. Like, she's never going to be it. Like, she's a writer.
Yeah, sticking her nose in, like, and asking the weird questions.
The mistress would have the most motive, but Mimi Gazeuse, She's already out. Like she got hoisted by her own petard. Like her Flammkuchen burner exploded in her hands, and she was taken out. Peter Piper, the one mystery,
which kind of leaves Frère Jacques. So
now,
why would the priest have a grudge with the mayor?
It's hard to imagine because the clergy and the
I'll keep them dumb, capitalist and the priest.
Yes, where economic / political / aristocratic and like divine power was separated. Wink, wink. Often within the same family. Yeah. So she delivers like a 1-2 punch in proper French tradition. Like she starts with the coup de foudre, which is a bit of a French pun.
Yeah.
Foudre. So coup de foudre is like a thunderclap. So and coupe is a cup. So she delivers an ice cream that is like a thunderclap. And this is how you describe like love at first sight. Oh. Coup de foudre, like the thunderclap, the sudden revelation. And so as everyone eats this delicious dish, I should add, this is essentially just undried out paper mache, but it is
just wet paper mache.
Yeah, so it's like paper paste and...
Is it sweetened?
And well, I've got some sugar packets. It is very cool.
Oh, you got those from the cafeteria, didn't you? Yes.
Yes, and I carried them along with me for this moment.
I think they got wet at some point because it's... No.
I've been cycling all this time and obviously getting very sweaty, and that's why it's all wet. Mm-hmm. The coupe de foudre, this ice cream that... Please don't eat that, by the way. I'm pretty sure that the glue is toxic.
Thank you.
You can
I'll lick the sugar packet.
Yeah, you can press it against your cheek because it's nice and cool. Yeah, okay. I do mind. I just kept it in the salmon water.
Okay, yes, let's go with that.
The coupe de foudre, and everyone is sort of swooning with newfound love. And I saw some sparks flying between Agathe the Blues and Alain Trieur.
Yes, they do have like a bit of a thing going between them.
And Frère Jacques was eyeing Anagram, but obviously Anagram only had eyes for...
Oh, no, you are of the clergy, it can never be, and therefore it shan't.
Besides, I mean, she felt the spark with Anne McCaffrey. Anagram, Anne McCaffrey, ooh.
Yes, writers amongst themselves.
And that's when Anne McCaffrey dropped, like, the hammer, the final dish.
The bombshell.
Which I've provided for you here. Yes, c'est vrai. Like, it is a tiny thimbleful of this creamy white fluid that is for you. It may smell familiar. It's a little and that was beaucoup de foudre. This is a particular feature in French where falling in love is coup de foudre, whereas coup de foudre is a cum shot.
Yes.
Bottoms up.
Cheers.
Bottoms up. Off we go.
Yes.
Merry Tom Balcock's Eve, everyone.
Merry Tom Balcock's Eve.
Yes, that's right.
Piquant.
Yeah.
Sticks to the tongue.
It's a very rich kind of...
it definitely has a little bit of the cook himself in it.
See, I like to put a little bit of myself in every dish that I prepare. And it is with this final dish that Anne McCaffrey overwhelms her guests.
Yes, Mistress McCaffrey grabs her tarte transformation and grabs one of the waiters who's standing around and stuffs the tart into his face, forcing him to like regress to Peter Piper again, who actually used one of the tarts before to like change places with the waiter.
Yes.
And cut off his head and put it in the stew in the
everyone's attention and eliminating himself from suspicion. Yes.
And by force feeding him the tart again, she reverts him to his original form and reveals him to be the villain of the story.
Peter Piper, whose pipe is denied him.
Peppers, no.
And, those of our readers at home who speak French probably enjoy that more than probably anyone else. Yes. I have no idea whether we have French-speaking listeners.
No, not right.
We'll find out after this episode. And hey, who knows? Those of us who don't speak French, I hope it was still enjoyable. That we still got to enjoy some of the imaginary French cuisine. Because even the French, even for those of us who perhaps prefer vegetarian food or vegan food, there is a lot in French cuisine that deals with les légumes, the vegetables.
Oh, yes. I think a legume is a bean.
Fruits, legumes. When you say in English, like a legume is bean-like, which includes like peanuts. They're also legumes and not nuts.
Yeah, totally.
But neither are walnuts. Walnuts aren't nuts, are they?
Yes, they are.
Are you sure?
They're fruits. They're fruit, aren't they?
Yeah, there's something like that.
Yeah. I mean, even in English, like vegetable is not a botanic or
no, it's a culinary
difference. Yeah. So, and that's the whole argument.
It's like tomatoes.
Tomatoes a fruit, not a vegetable.
Because it's got seed.
Yeah, but that's
seeds in it, so that makes
fruit. Fruit is a botanical term, and
but it's even a functional thing. Like a banana is not a fruit. It doesn't. I mean,
yes, strawberry is not a fruit.
Oh, isn't it?
No, it's because it's got those little speckles on the strawberry.
Hold on. The difference between fruit and berry.
Oh, that's the one. Yes.
Yeah, a berry is supposed to be eaten and then pooped out by an animal, and then the poop becomes the fertilizer.
Yes, and
versus a fruit is supposed to just fall and rot, and that becomes the fertilizer.
Yes.
So that's why bananas are berries.
Oh, yes,
and perhaps so are strawberries.
I think pineapples are berries.
What?
Yeah, I think.
But they're so hostile to...
It's like, they're berry clusters, which like each one of those little spikes is supposed to be. Yeah, I think that's what it sounds. It is a
fascinating world. Kay, I've got to say, this is probably the longest review that we've done of any book so far.
Yes.
And hey, speaking of how long we've done these reviews, this is our 52nd episode. We've done a full calendar year of these episodes.
Yes.
I've got to say, it's been
an amazing time.
Yes, even though I dearly miss my family and my freedom and whatever else of the fading memories I have of life outside this library.
Well appreciated.
This last year with you has been wonderful, and I've learned so much about orbital dynamics. Is a big one, and nuclear. The history of nuclear power.
They'll learn a lot more.
Yeah, as soon as I get access to a computer, maybe I will.
Maybe I'll think about bringing you a laptop, but I'm afraid of what you'll do to it. Or with it, for that matter.
Doing these reviews with you has been such an enriching experience, and I'm so glad that we've been able to share this.
Thank you. I'm very glad that you suggested doing this, and it's been an experience. It's been a fine point, focal point in the week. Well, it's not always been the same point in the week. Well,
it's not always been the same week, or has it?
Oh, has it? So I think we should rate this book.
Wait, hold on. The book didn't finish. We didn't figure out who done it.
Yes, we did. It was Peter Piper who used the transformation tart to kill the waiter and do the head thing.
Yes, that's right. It was Peter Piper. Yeah, that's right. Never mind. Okay, how are we going to rate this book?
I'll give it 2 out of 3 Michelin stars.
What a feather in the cap of Mistress Anne McCaffrey, who has already won so many justly deserved awards. I'm really looking forward to reading some of her work.
Oh,
because I've enjoyed all these recipes that you presented in the
I think I actually have a few comics based on the Pern series out somewhere here in the library.
Oh, that'll be fun. I mean, that's a fairly decent review.
I would say so. I mean, even one Michelin star is an incredible accomplishment. So,
hey, kudos to Mistress
McCaffrey.
And what do we have in store for our readers next week?
Yes. Next week's book is by Ton Mikkelbast, The Boy with the Troll Dick, a fairy tale from Egersund.
Thank you for this last whole year for joining us at Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
Holy shit, we have never, ever gone this long.
It's amazing.
I love this so much. I have 2 fried up whole bookworms. How about we tuck in and have ourselves a proper tombow proxy?
That sounds like a good plan.
Hell yeah.
Good way to sound out the year.
You pour the absinthe and let's...